Trying to just gather my thoughts here real quick. I just got home from a property on-site consultation and had to jot down some notes before I retire for the evening and spend the rest of the night with my family. I can kind of pick up where I left off when I get the next opportunity, and I can be present. I don't have to be distracted, worry about forgetting things. Got all my notes in Onyx. I'll go back to that. I had some really good talks today. Walked a friend's property with some other friends, so it was a good time to get a lot of different perspectives and bring them all together. Solid goal, solid plan. A few pieces of the puzzle remaining for this particular property, which will inevitably dictate the details of the plan, but why I hit record on that camera, welcome back anyway to the vlog. I know it's been a while. I know I said I would be more connected, whatever that means, but I just haven't had time, and finally getting caught up to the point where I have some time. I've got lots of footage. That's not an issue. It's just hard to do this and this and this and the family stuff, and my priorities are there and then back through to here. So bear with me. What I would do is challenge anyone listening to this, just try to be more connected with your environment. Try to be more connected with your food. I just had this thought and figured now is as good a time as any to share it. I've been on a couple different properties in the last week, both absolutely gorgeous, phenomenal properties, but both very different properties. The layouts, the access, the topography, even the actual vegetation type as far as diversity goes, and the types of cover. The ecosystem's completely different in both of these situations, but both properties have the same problems and very similar solutions. That's part of what I do, is try to figure out specific solutions for specific problems related to habitat and hunting. And these two properties, as different as they are, I found it unique that they both had very similar problems with very similar solutions. So I wanted to mention that, but that wasn't really what I was thinking about. I was thinking more about the fact that both of these properties, or property owners I should say, brought me in to gain a perspective on how to make the properties hunt better and sooner. That's kind of what I'm doing, is I'm trying to shorten that timeline, shorten that learning curve. But that's more on the whitetail hunting specific side of things. And all my clients know this, I talk about it frequently, but I view myself as more of a hunting coach than a hunting consultant. And the reason for that is there's just so many ways to hunt these deer, and every situation is different. Everyone's priorities in life are different. So whether you have a lot of time or you don't have a lot of time, or you have a lot of money or you don't have a lot of money, or you have a lot of land or you don't have a lot of land, it all fluctuates. But the mental side of it, that chess match, paying attention to detail, putting in the time, that doesn't change. None of that ever changes, right? So that's why the coaching side is so much more valuable, in my mind anyway, than the consulting side. You don't just pay me to show up and give you my opinion on how you should do this to do that, because that is what worked for me. I get paid to show up and find problems to solutions and help people figure out or learn and get better at what they're doing. And I think it really comes down to the difference between long-term and short-term thinking. And we've been sold in this industry specifically, but in every industry, we've been sold the idea that we can do things or buy things for this rapid short-term success. And I find it very interesting or peculiar that all of these easy things come with a trade-off, right? And for the most part, people know that, or should know that. There's always a trade-off. We pay for easy in one way, shape, or form outside of just money. You know, you talk about fast food or any food that requires minimal preparation to consume on our end. Processed foods, fast foods, stuff like that, those are all easy, but we obviously pay for that in the long run with poor health and poor mental states and just being dogged down and just feeling like crap all the time. Same thing goes with a property, right? There's short-term solutions and there's long-term solutions, and most of the time the short-term solution is building off of what you already know on that property and making better decisions. And a big reason for that, and this is something I try to make very clear to all my clients right away, is, you know, all of these changes that you're making on your property, specifically to increase your success rate or opportunities on mature whitetails, all of these things that you're doing now are not for the bucks you're hunting now. They're for the future generations of deer that grow up on your property. In fact, a lot of times these short-term or, you know, big habitat projects will have a negative impact on the mature bucks that are currently using your property, because they are conditioned to certain things a certain way, and if you make dramatic changes, that sometimes can throw them off. Not all the time, but sometimes it can. So, you know, I get it all the time where it's, you know, the first couple of years, certain things, you know, low-hanging fruit, food plots, stuff like that, those things make rapid changes. But as far as altering cover and creating a disturbance, improving the structure, the edge structure, creating more perennial resources on the property, those things take a little bit of time to develop and oftentimes require more human presence on the property, so on and so forth. But, you know, again, it comes back to this long-term versus short-term thinking. And, you know, even with the logging side of things, this is a big one right now. And this is why I've been so busy, because I get contacted by a lot of people before they're going to log. And usually it's not like, hey, I'm thinking about logging. Usually it's like, hey, the logger's going to be here this winter, and now I'm thinking I want to have a plan, which is great, because if you're thinking only short term with something like that, yeah, you might make a few extra $1,000s off your property. And, you know, if you bought the property with that in mind and you need the money, I get it. I totally get it. But there's a cost that comes with that short-term, easy money from just sending a logger through and letting him cut whatever he thinks is valuable. So you gotta pump the brakes. And that's really what I try to do on a lot of these properties, is just give these landowners that have a way deeper connection with that piece of property than I ever could have, because it's not my land. Just get them to slow down and think about the long-term, you know, not only the long-term timber value, but the long-term impacts on the ecosystems within that property. And then, you know, ask the questions like, do you need that money right now? You know, the reality is the timber market's flooded with a lot of things. White oak and similar trees, black walnut, are obviously very high in value right now, especially black walnut, but even that's coming back down because the market's flooded. And you just want to have a good plan when it comes to approaching these properties. And then before even logging, you should really have a plan in place to get in there and add more desirable native trees and shrubs into the property as well. And before any of that ever takes place, you really, 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 really need to make sure you understand the threat of invasive species in your area in general, because most of the time, in most places at this point, we are at a place where the first round, maybe the first 10 years of the seed bank on top is loaded, if not majority of invasive shrubs versus natives. So you can't just go in and treat and be done with it, because they're gonna keep on coming back. You have to manage them until the natives can get the opportunity to take over. That's kind of the big overall theme on most of these properties. And again, long-term versus short-term thinking. Short-term, just get in there, pull these logs out, and then down the road I'll come up with a management plan. Down the road I'll come up with some hunting improvement plan, whatever it may be, maybe even some sort of agricultural production plan. If you take care of that before you do the logging, it's going to save you a significant amount of time, significant amount of money, but more importantly, it could save that ecosystem for future generations, instead of just completely disrupting that ecosystem and then not allowing it to recover after the fact. So that's a big thing. And I think really with anything in life, just obviously planning ahead and thinking both short-term and long-term is hugely beneficial. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, and hopefully it helps someone, if anyone is in this position right now this winter, looking back at their season, being disappointed and wondering what they can do to improve their chances next year. I can't stress the value in thinking long-term versus short-term and having that plan. And if you fall into this trap of logging all of the timber on your property at one time because that's the only way you can get a logger there, then you're going to have issues down the road, most likely, if you don't have a management plan. A lot of these trees, a lot of these oak trees and stuff that are coming down right now are hundreds of years old. So it's not like you're going to see a tree like that ever again in your lifetime. So think about that first and foremost. And just again, think about both your short-term hunting habits and things that are going on, and your long-term goals on the property before you make dramatic changes with your habitat. And the same thing goes for your food plot program, and your bedding area management, stuff like that. Thinking ahead past the short, easy solutions of, buy it in a bag, put it in the ground, monoculture, food, or cover solutions. Think long-term, and what can I do to improve this property, not just for my personal benefit of getting from point A to point B or hunting deer, i.e. access screening or food plotting or whatever it might be, but also what can I do to ensure that this property is healthy and sustainable so that my kids can hunt this property and their kids can hunt this property, or anything can happen on that property instead of it going downhill and then not being able to recover, like is the case with a lot of ecosystems around the world right now, right? So think ahead. That's all I'm saying. Long-term versus short-term thinking. Two very different scenarios, different possibilities, but most of it just means you're making a small sacrifice short-term for the greater good.
These are the things I know. Never let your woman go, and never break her heart. Oh, but where I come from, there's only miles of broken roads, only love that'll never grow. It ends before it starts. Oh, where I come from, you die for the things you own. You never let your weakness show. You never pray to God. Oh, but where I come from, heaven is the full man's goal. It leads you anywhere but home, it leads you to nowhere. I will run, I will run, run away. I will run, I will run, run away. Stars never shine through the haze. I must get rid of my faith, get rid of my face, and change my philosophies. Like holes in the pavement, I fall through the pages. A note that got lost in the rain. Take me the furthest away that I can be safe from the place that is haunting me. I will run, I will run, I will run, run away. I will run, run away. Oh, where I come from, these are the things I know. Never let your woman go, and never break her heart.
My season is still technically going. It is January 9th, and my target buck, actually my top 2 target bucks that I had on camera going into season are both alive and showing up on the same camera in the same pinch point quite frequently. But I'm kind of stuck in this game of horrible access, overpressured deer, and not the right set of conditions to make a move. But I have been diligently paying attention to the weather, waiting for the right set of conditions, and training my body to accept brutal cold after not spending any time in a tree, because if you spend time in a tree, you understand what I mean. It's just completely different when you're sitting completely still for extended periods of time and enduring the extreme temperatures. So I've been on top of that. I'm excited, ready to go. Just need the right set of conditions, and specifically I'm looking for a west or northwest wind and hopefully less crunchy snow. That's what I need. And I'm probably, if I have any chance at all of killing one of these two deer, I'm gonna probably have to be almost right in their bedding areas and probably have to get in there a couple of hours before daylight, because I know their pattern somewhat right now. I have a pretty good idea where they bed when they're on the property, but there's a lot of does. There's way too many does around, which I also have some doe tags that I'm hoping to fill, but it's a little bit tricky to get in and out of there, and I'm just waiting for the perfect set of conditions, because right now, if bump those bucks, they could be gone for the next few weeks, and they might come back shed out. So it's a fine line, risk versus reward, but my target buck is a very mature deer whom I don't see getting much bigger next year. There's a few other 4 and 5 year old bucks that are kind of on the fence, but we'll see when I have an opportunity, if I have an opportunity. But I'm hoping this Thursday I get out. But I gotta get caught up on some work. So that's that. Thanks for watching. Please, if you get anything beneficial out of this, you gotta like, share this, let me know that it's worth investing time in this content. I'm not trying to be a content whore and kick content out to get constant people staring at me, constant likes and stuff. That's just not my game. It's not my style. I just want to share some of the things I'm doing and why I'm doing them, and hopefully you can relate and take advantage of those things. And if you need help, that's what I'm here for, but that's about as far as my sales pitch goes. So have a good night. Thanks for watching.